Hello, everyone, and Merry Chris. Oh, we're past that already? Well, this is awkward. It's probably too late to talk about a Christmas movie in January. So Jack Frost opens with the Jack Frost Band singing about Frosty the Snowman, but a cool version of the song, I guess. I thought they were a Christmas band, like maybe they only played Christmas music during the holidays or something. But no, that's just the main character's name. His name is literally Jack Frost. His parents should be fined for that. Jack Frost is played by Michael Keaton. Yeah, that Michael Keaton. This movie would have been far better as a Batman movie. Maybe his parents could have been resurrected as snow people and the Joker tries to melt them or something. This video is going to be a bit long, so I'm going to break it into parts with timestamps for your convenience. So this is part 1. Michael Keaton is a bad father and should die for it. So some guy in the crowd, talent scout or prospective agent, dials a number and says, "Hey man, check it out," and holds his phone up for the other person to listen and then says, "We have to sign them." I guess their Frosty song was too good to pass up. I have to read you some of these lyrics. Side note, I had the captions on because I could not understand a lot of the song. So here we go. "There must have been some magic in the air that night, or that old silk hat they found, for when they laid it upon his head, he began to hoochie-coo around." I don't know what hoochie-coo around means, but the song's a little on the nose, don't you think? Oh, and Jack Frost has a harmonica. This will be important later. So kids let out of school for Christmas vacation. We're introduced to 11-year-old Charlie, who is Jack's son. He joins a snowball fight that's set up like a war zone. They're fighting against the 7th graders. And the 7th graders somehow have this like giant slingshot. I don't know how, but they do. They take their snowball fights very seriously. So now we see Rory Buck, who is the bully of Charlie and a lot of the other kids, actually. So one of Charlie's classmates, Natalie, asks him to save some other kid who's pinned down, which he does. Charlie's a pretty happy, confident kid at this point in the movie. So Rory snowboards down the hill to get in Charlie's face, and Charlie hits him in the face with the snowball, which was a baller move. So Charlie goes home and he's excited to see his dad, but Jack is not home yet. The Jack Frost Band is driving back from Denver, so Jack won't be home until late. We see Charlie's mom, Gabby, trying to fix their sink. This comes back later. Jack arrives home wearing an ugly hat. The only explanation I have for this fashion choice is that it's foreshadowing for when he becomes a snowman. His wife is shoveling the driveway, they flirt. It's somewhere between cringe and cute. You decide.
I think I'm feeling a little,
Chapped.
So I was wondering if I could borrow some lip balm.
Charlie fell asleep waiting for his dad, so Jack wakes him up and they go build a snowman together. This is a weird complaint, but I've noticed there's a lot of kissing in this movie. Later, there's a scene with Jack and his wife just making out. I'm not sure who that was for. Kids aren't really interested in that, and it feels sort of out of place. I guess they're trying to show that he loves his wife, but I don't know. It felt like a lot in this kid's movie. They also kiss Charlie all the time, and I have to imagine that by age 11, that's gotta be really embarrassing for him. So Charlie says the snowman looks like Jack. More foreshadowing. He even puts the ugly hat on the snowman. I don't know why they're bothering with all this overt foreshadowing when we know what's going to happen. It's kind of the whole gimmick of the movie. Hulu's summary even reads, "A boy's magical harmonica reincarnates his dead father within the body of a snowman!" Exclamation point. So Jack's wife comes outside and says the snowman is cuter than him. She's all flirty. We get a snowball fight montage with the obligatory "you throw like a girl" line. Afterward, Jack sits with Charlie before bed and they're joking around with each other. It's a pretty wholesome scene. They seem to have a good relationship. Jack is interested in Charlie's life and his hobbies and clearly enjoys spending time with him. Charlie asks if Jack brought him anything back as a gift, and Jack gives him a harmonica. Remember, he plays the harmonica in the band. This harmonica is special, though, because he bought it the day Charlie was born from the music store across the street from the hospital. Is this a dad custom? Do you all buy a musical instrument when you have children? I wonder what instrument my dad got when I was born. Probably something sad, like a trombone. Imagine if it had been a grand piano, though, and then they have 6 kids, so they end up with 6 huge pianos in the living room. Luckily for Gabby, they only had 1 kid, and Jack chose a harmonica. Before Charlie goes to bed, he asks his dad to come to his hockey game the next day. Jack has to be in the studio, but he thinks he can make it, and he tells Charlie he'll be there. He also says the harmonica has magic powers, and wherever Charlie is, when he plays it, Jack will hear it. Jack and his wife are getting ready for bed, and they have a weird exchange. She tells him that she was hit on by her coworker at the bank, and is clearly judging his reaction. Like, she wants him to get mad. She's like foaming at the mouth for him to get mad. He does. Then she tells him it's fine because the guy is 63 and she straightened him out. I can't tell if this anecdote was supposed to be a joke or not, but it didn't land for me either way. And here's where they start making out. And he's like, man, if I could just have a hit song. And he proceeds to tell her all the things he'd buy her while she's kissing his neck and biting his face. I'm sure the kids loved this scene. Also, she says this.
Anything but a Jeep is a sissy car.
What? He sings her a song about goodbyes. We get the mutual I love yous with the long stares, which is a huge death flag. The next day, Charlie is playing hockey outside, and Jack comes up and shows off a cool shot that he calls the J shot. This sounds really dirty, but I guess it's not. Charlie asks Jack to teach him, even though Jack has to go. Jack does take the time to show him, but Charlie doesn't fully get it. So Jack promises to go over it with him again later. I'm pointing this out because Jack didn't just brush him off, he did try to teach him. Charlie goes to his hockey match, and his coach gives them what is supposed to be a pep talk. Of course, Charlie is playing against his bully. Remember him? You can tell he's a bad boy because he's got the spiky hair. So they get owned by the bullies team, and Charlie misses the final shot, the implication being that if his dad had taught him the J shot, they would have won, which isn't true, but sure. Jack lost track of time while recording and missed the match, but he clearly feels bad about it. As he's walking up to the house, he sees their dog outside and doesn't let the dog inside. There's so much snow and it's nighttime. Someone please let Chester the dog inside. He is cold. Jack's wife scolds him for promising Charlie he'd be at the game when he couldn't.
You know how I knew you promised him? He kept looking at me up in the stands, and after about, I don't know, the 40th time, I realized he expected you to be there.
Maybe if he wasn't looking away from the game so much, they would have won. Just saying. Jack's wife really goes in on him. She says that she doesn't care when he flakes out on her because she chose this life, but Charlie didn't. But he didn't flake on Charlie. He was working. It's not like he missed the match to go to the bar or go watch a football game on TV or something. I get that it sucks that he's away a lot touring, but he's trying to get his band off the ground to support his family. So Jack apologizes to Charlie and tries to explain that he's always had a dream of being a great musician who makes a living doing what he loves. He relates this to Charlie by acknowledging Charlie's own dream of becoming the next Wayne Gretzky. So Jack not only pays attention to Charlie's hobbies, but also knows his aspirations and seems supportive of them. He wants to make it up to Charlie, so he says the three of them will go away to the cabin for Christmas. I don't know if they own it or not, but it sounds like they've vacationed there before, so it might mean something sentimental to them. And he promises to teach Charlie the J shot. I did have to smile at this scene where Charlie has packed a huge bag for the 3-day trip, and he talks about bringing his Game Boy. I took my Game Boy Color with me everywhere as a kid, so I thought that was cute. So they're literally packing the trunk when Jack gets a phone call from the record company, which I think is called Asylum. Interesting name. Is it a Batman reference? Maybe that's a stretch. Anyway, this record label is interested in possibly signing them, but there are 3 other bands in the running. He has to go to Aspen to meet the head of Asylum. And when does he have to be there? Tomorrow, which is, of course, Christmas. Jack's wife is upset, but decides to try to work it out. Maybe he can do a quick set and come back, but even if he does, he'll miss Christmas Day. As they're talking it out, Charlie gives him back the harmonica because he says he doesn't want it anymore. He's really upset. Charlie's a kid, so I'm gonna try to not be too hard on him for this, but I think everyone is too hard on Jack, including the narrative, which I'll get into later. I get that it's Christmas, but this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that Jack has been working towards for years. Pushing Christmas back a few days isn't the end of the world. I get for Charlie that it probably feels that way, but his dad was going to try to come home immediately afterwards, so what I don't understand is why not bring the family with him? That seems like the obvious solution. Drive together, and then they can stay in a hotel while he plays a set for Asylum, and then they can have Christmas together and, I don't know, go skiing or something, whatever people do in Aspen. So Jack is driving with his friend and bandmate Mac to Aspen. Mac seemed so familiar to me, but I could not place him. So I looked it up, and he is played by Mark Addy. Yeah, that is King Robert Baratheon, aka Bobby B from Game of Thrones. Jack's trying to hype himself up for the gig, but Mac isn't buying it. He asks when he should pull over.
I got a great wife. I got a great kid. I'm not living this life anymore. I'm going home.
So does this mean he's quitting the band? Giving up on his dream in this moment? That was quick. Also, it's kind of a dick move. He wasn't the only person in the band. I'm sure they were all excited for this opportunity, and he's just like, nah, I'm going home. I'm sure they wished he'd come to this conclusion before they left. I personally don't like this. I don't think parents should be expected to give up their dreams just because they have kids. I think they also need fulfillment outside of being a parent. That's not to say that they should ignore their children's emotional needs, but realistically, parents can't be there 24/7. They have to work. It would be one thing if Jack just completely neglected and ignored Charlie, but he doesn't. He really tries to be a good dad while also pursuing his career. Max says he's making the right decision, and if the record label likes them now, they'll like them in a week. Which, yeah, I agree that Asylum shouldn't have forced these bands to come out over Christmas, but Jack was going to drive home anyway right after. He would have really only missed Christmas Day, maybe the day after. He would have still been able to spend some time with his family, even if the band had gone to Aspen. Is it possible that the head of Asylum is the Joker? I just really want this to be a Batman movie. Jack isn't sure how to explain this to the band, but they all end up being totally fine with it, which seems unrealistic, but sure. It's a Christmas movie, so Christmas has to be the most important thing for everyone, even if there's a life-changing opportunity on the line. So Jack starts driving home and it begins to snow. He's driving in the dark, the windshield wiper gets stuck so he can't see, and he crashes the car and dies. Yes, you heard me correctly. Jack makes the quote-unquote correct choice to leave the band and go to his family, and he is punished by the narrative for doing so. I think this would have made more sense if he had died trying to get to the gig, or if he had been a bad father the entire movie and his death and subsequent resurrection as a snowman were a chance for him to repent and be a better father. I think that's what the movie is going for, like, it's a second chance for him to right his wrongs or whatever with Charlie, but he was never that bad a dad, so it doesn't work. If Jack had pulled over and stayed in a hotel until the snow passed, maybe he would have lived, but he would have missed Christmas, so he's better off dead, I guess. We then see Charlie looking out a window at the cabin as if he's looking for Jack, but Jack's dead, so he's not showing up. Part 2. Reincarnation from a Harmonica. It's 1 year later. Charlie's leaving school for Christmas vacation. The bully kid tries to pick on him, but Charlie doesn't respond, leaving another kid to say, he's no fun since his dad died.
Well, it's time he gets over it. I never even met my old man.
Charlie is having a really rough time. He refuses a ride home from Mac and doesn't seem interested when Mac says they're going to hang out while Charlie's mom goes Christmas shopping. Charlie gets upset when he sees a Jack Frost band sticker on the snow shovel he's using and begins to angrily shovel snow until his mom pulls him into a hug and lets him cry. Later that night, Mac and Charlie are watching a band play on TV. Mac comments that Charlie's dad loved the musician and that they played together a few times, and Charlie replies,
Nice to know your time for someone.
He died trying to get to you for Christmas, you ungrateful! This is what I mean about the narrative punishing him. It would make more sense if Jack had been a totally absent father. I'm sure there's some anger in Charlie because he's grieving, but damn, Jack doesn't ever catch a break, even in death. Charlie sees his neighbors making a snowman together outside, and he gets inspired to make his own. So we get a snowman making montage while the song Landslide is playing. Fun fact, the song Landslide was written by Stevie Nicks while she was visiting Aspen and looking out at the Rocky Mountains. If only Jack had made it to Aspen, maybe he would have written a hit song there too. He probably would have been crushed by an avalanche as punishment. At least that would have been funnier. There's this slow motion scene of Charlie putting a red scarf around the snowman's neck, which was kind of funny. I don't know why that moment warranted a slow-mo shot. He finishes the snowman with Jack's ugly hat from earlier. In the box with Jack's hat, Charlie finds the harmonica his dad had given him and then he gave back when he was angry. Charlie blows on the harmonica and the snowman comes to life? And he also somehow has Jack Frost's spirit. I have questions. We saw Charlie blow on the harmonica twice when he first got it. So who came alive then? Or are we supposed to believe it only works on Jack because he said whenever Charlie plays it, he'll hear it? Did he hear it beyond the grave? Jack claimed he got it from a music shop, so how did it become magical? And why is the spell so specific to him? It would have been funnier if every time Charlie played the harmonica, one of his dead relatives possessed an inanimate object, like a toaster or a snowboard, and by the end of the movie, Charlie has an army of ghosts, and then they beat up his bully in a hilarious montage. Okay, I have another question. Why did Jack become a snowman? Can he only possess snowmen? Why? What if it had been summer when Charlie blew on the harmonica? It just seems silly to possess an object that has a really short lifespan, you know? Also, the scene where Jack takes over the snowman is really funny because it's just this snow tornado spinning around and around him dramatically. So Jack wakes up and blinks. It's clear that his face will be a problem for the rest of the movie. Jack says, "I'm home," and starts moving toward the house. What's strange to me is that he doesn't immediately realize that there's something different about his body. You'd think you'd notice if your body was suddenly a snowman body. He also comments that it's cold, but why would he be cold if he's a snowman? I'd like to also point out that we are 40 minutes into this movie. It took 40 minutes for Jack to turn into a snowman. We've got about 55 minutes left. so it took nearly half the movie to get to the main premise. So Jack knocks on the door and moves around the house, calling for Charlie to let him inside. Charlie opens the blinds, sees Jack, and rightfully screams and runs away. Jack finally sees his reflection and also screams. I don't know how he didn't realize something was up. He doesn't have legs or feet. He's been sort of rolling across the top of the snow in this form. Jack starts patting his body incredulously and looks down.
No.
He's sort of looking at his abdomen or maybe his pelvis. It's hard to tell if this is a joke about his weight or the fact that he doesn't have a penis anymore. Let me know which one you think the movie is going for. Also, the second one seems easily fixed with a well-placed carrot, or snow. We'll later see that his body can change with the removal or addition to snow, so I mean... And of course we get a shot of the dog peeing on him because peeing is comedy. And why is the dog outside? Everybody's asleep. I didn't notice a dog door, so that means someone let him out and forgot to let him back in. Someone save Chester, please. Also, does this mean that for the rest of the movie, Jack is walking around covered in and smelling like pee? Something to think about. Charlie starts barricading the door while Jack complains again that it's cold outside. Chester steals his stick arm and runs away. He slips and falls going after Chester, commenting,
That's the coldest wedgie I ever had.
Then he gets hit by a snowplow and falls apart. He puts himself back together and goes home just in time for his wife to pull in. He tells himself to act casual, but man is his smile creepy. According to IMDb's trivia, George Clooney was supposed to play Jack, but he left to do Batman and Robin, a movie that somehow has more ice puns than this one. The animatronic snowman was made to match Clooney's face and acting style, not Michael Keaton's. That could be why it looks so weird, but I can't imagine it would have looked that much better if George Clooney had kept the role. So Jack's wife gets out of the car and is happy to see the snowman, thinking this means that Charlie is working through his grief. She does come up and do like a once-over around the snowman, touching his scarf, his body, just being close to his face as she talks to him. It's very weird. The only reason this scene exists is to add romantic tension between Jack and his wife. I can't imagine anyone actually doing this in real life when they see a snowman. Maybe it's a good thing he didn't have a carrot. That would have given him away. Okay, I should probably delete that line from the script, but I'm not going to. Gabby pushes her way into the house. Remember, Charlie put up a barricade. And Charlie tries to attack her, thinking that she's the snowman. Charlie tells her that the snowman is alive. She obviously doesn't believe him. Jack is watching them through the window, and he sees Gabby emptying this pot under the sink. She put it there to catch water from the leak. And he says,
I never did fix that.
It's been a year. Fix your sink. Call someone if you don't know how to do it yourself. Jeez. I imagine they got some money when Jack died from a life insurance policy. Fix your sink. This is another scene to make it seem like Jack is a bad husband and father, but she had plenty of time to get it fixed by that point. Nothing Jack has done has really been that bad. I don't think he's a bad father or a bad husband. I think he's just human. Or was, I guess. So Jack's walking around in the dark, lamenting his snowman status. He's trying to make sense of why he's been turned into a snowman. I don't know why he's trying. It doesn't make sense. Part 3. Snowman Shenanigans. In the morning, Charlie walks out with a hairdryer on the longest extension cord in existence to threaten Jack. He asks, "Who are you and what do you want?"
Hey, that thing's hot. What are you doing? I'm your father.
Then Charlie runs away in fear. He comes across his bully tormenting his friend Natalie from earlier, and for a moment she thinks he's going to help, but Charlie starts to walk away. So Jack lobs a snowball and hits Rory. Rory thinks it was Charlie, and thus a snowball fight begins. Jack can scoop and throw snowballs at an astonishing rate. He calls himself the Wizard of Blizzard. But he runs out of snow. He could easily move over where there's more snow, but he doesn't, and instead tells Charlie to run. I guess he may have stopped because he's tired. He does say he needs a nap. I don't know. Charlie runs and ends up on the edge of a cliff. The bullies hit him until he falls because they aren't afraid of killing a child. Charlie holds onto a branch while calling out for help. It's very The Lion King. So Jack makes a seesaw with the sled, takes off his ass piece, and tosses it so that he can shoot himself upward to grab Charlie. He makes a butt joke, and they're off. The bullies give chase on sleds and snowboards. As the scene goes on, they all crash or fall into the snow. One of the bullies throws 2 snowballs at Jack, and we get a boob joke. He literally starts playing with his snow boobs before throwing them back at the bully. Eventually, only Rory is left. Charlie and Jack get separated. I don't know, he breaks the sled and they both get snowboards out of it somehow. So Rory's preparing to hit Charlie with a snowball and Jack shows up and scares the living hell out of him. He falls off his snowboard, rolls, and of course gets hit between the legs by a tree. Charlie and Jack celebrate. Jack makes a ball joke. Charlie quizzes Jack to prove that he actually is his dead father. Question 1. How'd his hamster die? Jack says heart attack, Charlie says vacuum. Jack argues he probably died of a heart attack on the way in, so I don't know if this counts as correct on a technicality or not. The second question is, what position does Charlie play in hockey? His dad's answer is right, but Charlie says he got moved to another position last year, which could have been before or after Jack died, so who knows if he was actually right or not. I think they're trying to show that Jack is a bad dad because he got the questions wrong, but we can't really tell if they're wrong or not. Anyway, the important thing is that Jack calls him by his special nickname, Charlie Boy. So that convinces Charlie that he's really his dad. They hug. Charlie pulls away and is like, this is really weird. And Jack replies, you're the one who played the magic harmonica.
I thought you made that up.
So did I.
So Jack lied about the harmonica being magic, but it really was magic, I guess? Jack says he's hungry. I have no idea how this is possible, but okay. They fixed the sink since Gabby couldn't be bothered to call a repairman for a year, and Charlie plans to feed him frozen snow peas. Get it? Gabby pulls in, Jack freaks out. He doesn't want her to see him like this. I'm not sure why it's okay for Charlie to see him as a snowman, but not Gabby. I guess the implication is that he's ugly now or something. But this is pretty miraculous. He's back from the dead. I'm sure Gabby would like to talk to her dead husband, even if he is a snowman. Gabby comes in and complains that it's cold because Charlie left all the windows open. He says that it's for a science fair project. Jack is hiding in the closet, and as soon as she is distracted, he makes a break for it and runs outside. Gabby is starting to notice weird things about the snowman. When she came into the house, he was gone from the front lawn, but then he's back, so she's kind of like, huh. And then later that night, she notices he's facing into the house when he'd been facing the other way before. It did make me laugh that she closes the curtains because, yeah, it'd be creepy to have a snowman looking into your house. So she tells Charlie that she talked to his coach and found out that he quit the hockey team. Did he quit recently, or did he quit shortly after his dad died? Because if it's been a while, how did she not notice? She was going to his hockey games. Weirdly, I feel like this movie gets so much worse after Jack turns into a snowman. I can feel my eyes glazing over, and it's just so much slower now. Anyway, Charlie ends up taking Jack into town in a wagon so that people don't freak out that he's, alive. Gabby sees this out the window of her job and grows concerned. She seeks out Bobby B at his own job, which appears to be a hardware store. This is kind of sad because the implication is that because Jack died, their band was never able to get signed, so they all had to get other jobs and weren't able to pursue music. We later find out that Mac just doesn't love music anymore because Jack died, which is equally sad. I guess toting the snowman around really freaked Gabby out because she asks Bobby B to talk to Charlie man to man. I don't really think this is a relatable man problem, but I don't know, maybe all guys go through a snowman phase. So Charlie and Jack go to this special place in the woods that no one else knows about. Charlie apologizes to Jack for giving back the harmonica, which is nice. Jack asks him why he quit hockey, and Charlie says it's not that great, but Jack doesn't buy it. He convinces Charlie to play hockey with him and finally teaches Charlie the J shot in a nice montage. They go home and Jack starts lecturing Charlie about getting back on the team and how his grades have fallen. He's not being mean about it, it's coming from a place of caring. Gabby and Bobby B see this happening through the window, not Jack being alive, but they see Charlie arguing with the snowman. Gabby thinks it's scary, but I don't know, people grieve in different ways. Maybe talking out his feelings about his dead dad to a snowman helps. Jack tells Charlie that he has to care for his mother now and work things out with his friends, who he's been neglecting. Charlie gets angry and storms inside, and Jack feels bad for pushing him too hard. Bobby B takes Charlie to a holiday festival, hoping to talk to him about why he's been pulling a snowman around and why he's been talking to it. There's a father-son snowman building contest going on, and Charlie sees Rory and they share a sad look because neither has their dad. This sets things up for later, which is why I'm mentioning it. Bobby B confesses that he fell out of love with music when Jack died and it started to just feel like work. Charlie asks if his dad wanted him to be a musician too, and Bobby B says,
I think more than anything, he wanted you to be whatever you wanted to be.
wow, that Jack Frost, what a terrible dad. Part 4. Jack starts melting. So the next day, the weather is warm. Too warm for a snowman. Charlie sees one of his friends getting picked up for a hockey game, and he runs over to tell the coach that he wants back on the team. His friends are all unsure because he ditched them, but Natalie vouches for him and says,
Everybody deserves a second chance.
which is supposed to be the theme of the movie, I guess. But Charlie leaving the hockey team because his father died and he was grieving isn't really the same as just ditching them, in my opinion. Just like his father pursuing a music career that took him away from his family from time to time doesn't inherently mean he was a bad father. Anyway, the kids let him back on the team. Charlie tells Jack he doesn't have to come to the game, but obviously he's going to. We've been leading up to this the whole movie. Chester's outside again in the snow, so Jack makes this tiny dog pull him on a sled to the game. At first, Chester doesn't want to, but then Jack convinces him by saying there could be cute poodles there. Yeah, that's dialogue in this movie. We see Charlie's team doing well, but Charlie, of course, doesn't make any goals yet. Jack arrives, and he has to cross a hot parking lot to get inside. He starts melting, and somehow slides across the parking lot just as someone opens the door so he can slide right inside. As Jack is watching the game, Charlie does the J shot and scores, winning the game. Jack compliments Charlie on winning, and Charlie realizes that he's melting. So I guess the lesson is, even if it's likely that it will kill you to watch your son's hockey game, you should be there to see the game. And then die. So Charlie runs to the bank where his mother works, begging her to drive him and the snowman up to the mountains so that the snowman won't melt. She refuses. Charlie tells her that the snowman is Jack. She doesn't believe this. So he runs off. It would be pretty easy to prove to her that the snowman is Jack, but they have to find some other way to the mountain because Gabby driving them would be just too easy. Gabby runs in to find Bobby B and tells him that Charlie ran off with the snowman. He leaves a customer at the register to follow her. Charlie puts Jack on a cart and wheels him through town. Gabby and Bobby B somehow miss him doing this as they're driving around. Charlie plans to load Jack onto a truck right as Rory appears out of a shop with a neon sign in the window that, no joke, says bad boy. Now Jack starts talking to Rory, which shakes him to his core. But we saw earlier that Jack scared Rory and made him fall off his snowboard, so Rory already knows that the snowman is alive. Charlie says that Jack is his dad, and Rory says, I knew it? Okay, then why were you so shocked? Charlie says he's trying to get him up to the mountains and asks Rory for help because he knows what it's like to not have a dad. To which Rory replies,
No dad's better than no dad.
I'll give that a moment to sink in. So they load Jack up and wave goodbye to Rory. Meanwhile, Gabby and Bobby B are talking to the police and describing the snowman. This may be the funniest scene in the entire movie.
He's a snowman, Dave. What do you think he looks like?
Hey, look, I'm just trying to do my job.
5'8", white, stocky.
Charlie and Jack jump out of the truck into the snow. We get another ball joke. They go into the cabin, the one that they were going to stay in last Christmas, so Charlie can warm up. As Jack's putting Charlie to sleep, he says,
I was so busy trying to make my mark on the world, You are my mark on the world.
No, absolutely not. While yes, being a parent is a huge part of someone's identity, there's more to it than that. Parents are allowed to have dreams independent of their children. Him wanting to be a musician does not make him a bad dad. Having a child doesn't have to be your only legacy. I really don't like this movie's messaging, if you couldn't tell. Anyway, Jack calls Gabby and tells her that he's with Charlie in the cabin. She realizes that it's Jack, but he hangs up. In the morning, Charlie goes outside to wish Jack a Merry Christmas and tells him that when he blew on the harmonica, he wished Jack would be there for Christmas. So I guess the harmonica only works if you wish for something, but it may also only work on Jack? I still don't know the magical laws that dictate what this harmonica can and can't do. Jack thanks him for giving him a second chance to be his dad, but says that he's gotta go. Charlie's gotta get over his death and move on. Which, what? Charlie just got Jack to the mountain to preserve his life. But nope, he's out. I think he should have told Charlie this before Charlie went through all the trouble. I don't know, maybe it's because they had to wait until officially Christmas Day for Jack to leave, because he couldn't miss Christmas again. Why does he have to leave at all? He could have stayed, at least for a while. We get the whole I'll always be in your heart speech. Gabby and Bobby B drive up just in time to see Jack snow tornado his way out. And then he becomes Ghost Michael Keaton. Gabby didn't get any time to spend with him during his brief reappearance on Earth, which is a bummer. The first thing he says to her is that she looks great. Not that he missed her or that he loves her. You look great. She asks him to sing to her, and he sings the song from earlier in the movie about goodbyes. He finally says, I love you and goodbye, and disappears. So he's still dead. Even after being what the movie deems a better dad. And as he's leaving, he says, I'll always hear you, in a whispery tone, which was just kind of creepy. The scene changes to Bobby B on piano. I guess he loves music again, even though he didn't talk to Jack at all and wasn't in the goodbye scene. I think he stayed in the car, so I don't even know if he saw Jack. but I guess it's nice to see him playing piano again. Gabby lets Chester out into the snow and will probably forget about him. Charlie is playing hockey with his friends, and that's it. That's where it ends. So I think it'd be fun to look at reviews on IMDb because they are interesting. Which brings us to part 5, reception. I was curious to see what other people thought of this movie, and what I noticed is that a lot of people were complaining that it was reviewed really, really low. So I think what happened is that people rated it low, and then other people saw that and were like, oh, it's not that bad. And then they rated it too high to compensate, because several people are voting this like 8 out of 10, 10 out of 10 in response to the poor reviews. It's currently sitting at a 5.4 out of 10 on IMDb with 41,000 reviews. So let's look at some of them. This person says, why is this movie rated so badly? It's actually a really cute and magical little Christmas movie. Definitely has the Christmas spirit, which most Christmas movies are lacking these days. Give it a shot. And then we have 8 out of 10, one of the saddest Christmas movies that was ever made. I mean, seriously, why the 4.9 rating? I found nothing wrong with this movie. You found nothing wrong with this movie? It has a nice story and the cast was great. I always liked Michael Keaton from his Batman days, and I thought he did a terrific job in the movie. The story is about a work ethic musician named Jack Frost who dies of a car crash one winter's night. That removes a lot of context, but all right. So his son Charlie plays the harmonic that he gave him, and he is magically reincarnated as a snowman. Yes, a snowman. That was in caps. Hilarious, right? No. So why do I like this movie a lot? Well, like I said, the story was great and everything. So why is it considered one of the most saddest movies of all time next to The Lion King and Marley and Me? Well, you just have to watch the ending to find out. So grab those Kleenex tissues and get your family together the next Christmas season, as you'll be needing them. Okay, I watched this movie twice to make this review. I did not cry once or feel the need to cry. And I watched this as a kid and also did not cry. Actually, I found this movie very boring as a child and didn't really remember much of it. 7 out of 10. A snow dad is better than no dad. This movie seems to be getting a rash of negative reviews. 1, bad special effects. This movie was not made to show off special effects. I didn't go for the special effects. 2, lame story. Why did you go to the movie in the first place when you knew it was about a deceased dad coming back as a snowman? I didn't go hoping for a realistic plot. 3, bad acting. Did you actually expect to see an Oscar-nominated performance from a talking snowman? No, but I think it's okay to expect a little more. 10 out of 10. Best family Christmas movie ever. Spoilers. This is far my favorite family Christmas movie ever. It was very heartwarming when his dad died, but I'm glad he got a second chance with his dad one last Christmas. And the ending was so... there's no punctuation until the exclamation points further down this paragraph. I was trying to read it in one breath, but I can't. And the ending was so amazingly done. I couldn't stop crying watching that scene when they both got a chance to say goodbye to him before he left again. One of my absolutely favorite thing about this movie! Exclamation points. There's like 6 of them. All right, I'm just going to read some of these titles. You get it. I admit it, I cried. Underappreciated movie. Rocker Keaton. Cuteness all the way. Cheesy, but very cute. So yeah, these are like 8, 9s, and 10s out of 10. One was a 6 out of 10. But yeah, most of these that I'm seeing right now are pretty highly rated, because again, I think it's in response to the low ratings. So I want to see some of the lower rated ones. Okay, now this is an interesting one. This is a 1 out of 10. And they say, letting your child watch this is akin to child abuse. That is the title. This person says, who authorized the making of this movie? I assume that someone must have read the script and still thought the movie was worth making. But how? The movie is a completely depressing and stupid mess. I can't think of a less appealing holiday movie except for the terrible Grinch. So here's the heartwarming, plot. A neglectful father is in a rock blues band. FYI, Michael Keaton's singing was surprisingly good, though this does not make up for the rest of the movie. Anyway, he wants to make it big and gets the chance to do an important gig on Christmas Eve. While traveling there, he's in an accident and is killed. I felt it served him right because he was behaving like a selfish jerk. But I'm sure that many children were traumatized when this occurred. Later, for no discernible reason, his son's wish to have his dad return results in Keaton being reincarnated as a really creepy-looking snowman. This is the second opportunity to traumatize the kids, as he wasn't particularly cute or endearing, just plain creepy. Keaton and his son somehow manage to renew their love for each other, and then Keaton melts, providing a third opportunity to induce childhood trauma to our kids. That's it. Nothing fun, nothing cuddly, and nothing worth wasting your time seeing. It's just depressing and banal. Wow. Okay, so that's a lot to unpack there. I don't agree that watching this movie is akin to child abuse. I think some small kids might be freaked out by the snowman. Like, if they're really little, they could be. I saw this movie as a kid, and it did not make any impression on me. It did not scar me or upset me. It was just boring and uninteresting. Like, he definitely looks unsettling, but I think kids over the age of maybe, like, 7 are probably going to be fine. I was scared by a lot of things as a kid, and this didn't bother me, so I don't know. But yeah, a lot of these are getting a little bit more critical. We've got some 5 out of 10, 2 out of 10. The title of this review is called Jackass Frost. This one just says stupid. 4 out of 10, 3 out of 10. Yeah. So, a mixed bag for sure. Final thoughts. I rate it like a 3.5 or 4 out of 10 probably. It felt too long. It was just a slog to get through, and it's also a little depressing. I don't really care for the messaging, as I've said. I think the better way to do this would have been to make Charlie's dad actually really bad and give him a stronger character arc. Maybe his time as a snowman could be like a test. And when he passes it and shows that he can be a good dad, he comes back to life or something. Or they could have gone a different route and had it be more focused on Charlie's grief and getting through that during the holidays, which can be a really painful time for people who have experienced the loss of a loved one. The premise of this movie just isn't that good, and this isn't something I'd watch every year for Christmas or anything. I don't think I'll ever watch this one again after this video, actually. Also, Charlie still has the harmonica, so couldn't he reincarnate Jack whenever there's snow on the ground? Or would Jack inhabit different things? Try it in the summer, Charlie. It'd be a fun game to see what Jack would come back as. So yeah, that was Jack Frost. A meh movie that I saw as a child. It made no impression on me then, and it didn't make much of one now. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, please like and subscribe. I also have a Patreon if you'd like to support my endeavors. I stream on Twitch as well if you're into gaming. I'm currently obsessed with Baldur's Gate 3. There's no harmonica in that to bring back the dead, though. But we do have withers. Yeah, that's what I want to see in Jack Frost 2. An undead, mysterious man who brings Jack back from the dead when Charlie inadvertently kills him with an elevator.